As Jacob sat down to dinner with Sophie and her family, he couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. Why did they seem so intent on marrying Sophie off to him? As the conversation turned to the topic of cultivation and the risks involved, Jacob began to realize just how much was at stake.
Sophie turned to look at Jacob's face and studied his features. She noticed his brown eyes and soft hair. For a second, she couldn't take his eyes off him and seemed to be studying his inquisitive eyes. Jacob cleared his throat and asked again, gently this time, "Sophie, are you dating someone at school? I'm not interested in any of them, and even if I were, they are nothing like me. They could never realize how liberating it feels to be different, to be stronger, to feel the wind, to soar amongst the clouds." She trailed off, lost in thought. She snapped out of it and said, "Anyway, they aren't so mature that they could understand any of this." Jacob looked at her. "You're not exactly mature yourself, either." "Of course, I'm not as mature as you, Uncle." She emphasized on uncle on purpose to tease him about his age. He was a college student, after all. Jacob smiled and stopped grilling her. He turned around and looked at Dracon, who was busy reviewing documents in his study room. It was amazing to watch a dragon king blend into the regular world so seamlessly, and to be one of the best businessmen in the country, too. He had a hint of admiration for Dracon, and for his wife Helen as well, who was busy cooking a homely meal for all of them. He felt right at home. He was surprised at the sudden turn of events, but he had a good feeling about being a part of this family. He hadn't had that feeling in so long. "Dinner time," Helen called out from the dining room as she brought the last two dishes out from the kitchen to the table. Sophie's father, Dracon, put down the documents he was studying and walked out from his study. "Jacob, come eat with us," Helen said to Jacob gently. Sophie stared at Jacob and looked cross. She still wasn't comfortable with him being treated like family, much less his fiancé. Reading Sophie's mind, Helen said, "Don't make that face, dear. Even if Jacob isn't your fiancé, he's still our guest." She patted Sophie's head and nudged her towards the table. Jacob's brain froze again when he heard the word fiancé. "Sit down and eat," Dracon said to Jacob, as he himself sat down promptly as soon as he entered the dining hall. Jacob felt a little awkward, but he couldn't resist their invitation. He sat on the chair opposite Dracon and sat down. "Are you busy at school?" Helen asked Jacob as she passed him the bowl of gravy. "It's going all right." Jacob answered, but felt weird. He had just met them. Why was he so comfortable eating at their house and interacting with them like a family? He racked his brain to start a safe topic of conversation so that it does not go back to Sophie and his wedding again. He finally remembered that he wanted to know more about the Dragon Clan, and now seemed like the right time to ask. "I know that you have a lot of questions about us, but I believe you will get used to it gradually," Helen said, as if she knew what Jacob was thinking. "Sophie is just in high school. Normally speaking, it's too early to talk about marriage at this age." "However, marriage in your case has become time-sensitive. But it is not out of the ordinary to settle such matters in our circle at an early age. I must admit that Sophie's life is in your hands." Jacob was stunned. He began listening to Helen intently. "You swallowed Sophie's internal core. If we want, we could take it out by force from your body, but it will definitely cause you a severe injury. Sophie is a kind-hearted young lady, and she doesn't want you hurt at any cost, and nor do we. More importantly, she does not want you to bear the consequences because of her carelessness." Helen paused a bit here. Jacob couldn't resist looking at Sophie at this moment, and she met his gaze. "She may not be in love with me, she may not even know me all that well, but she has the makings of a good wife," thought Jacob. "So, we've decided to keep Sophie's internal core in your body and want you to start cultivating." Helen started speaking again. However, I must mention that this is not entirely safe either. If you can't reach a certain level in a certain amount of time, in other words, if your body can't suppress the overflowing energy of the internal core, the aftermath will be dangerous as well, she said. Jacob became nervous when the elegant and gentle Helen suddenly turned so serious. I don't mind telling you more, Dracon said abruptly. Actually, there won't be any negative effects for Sophie if we take it out of your body and return it to her. Yet, in order to have other elders believe in us, I asked Elder Liam to lie. He told them that Sophie wouldn't be able to adjust to the dragon core after it has stayed in your body. If it was left up to them, they would not have hesitated to take away your life for her. After hearing his words, Jacob felt like he was amongst countless dangers. He was half a step away from heaven just a few days ago. Dracon looked at Jacob. You have two options now. First, let us take out the core by force. This is a huge risk. Second, cultivate according to what we give you. There will still be a risk, but it will be much smaller. What I want to know is, Jacob looked at Sophie, how will Sophie be affected after losing it? The way Jacob took Sophie's name, she felt a hint of endearment and concern in it. She liked that he cared about her, but she was still uncomfortable whenever she thought about marrying him. There isn't any danger at the moment. However, 3 years from now, if you can't open up all the openings of the dragon core and transfer half of the Canate dragon essence back to her, she won't be able to live for more than 2 years, Dracon said. Silence suddenly struck the dining table. In other words, if we follow the second option, everybody has to take risks. Sophie won't have to take any risks with the first option, but it will be very dangerous for me. Is that right? Jacob asked. Indeed. Dracon nodded. Is it necessary to get married? Jacob asked. If everyone chooses the second option, you guys could only accomplish the required rituals by marrying each other. Are there any other options? Jacob asked. Temporarily, no, Dracon answered straight away. Since you guys don't have any objections, let's follow the second option. Dracon hit the table and said, Let's eat. Daddy! Sophie still wanted to protest, but she stopped after looking at the expression on Dracon's face. Sophie, you have to take responsibility for your mistake. Helen comforted Sophie. I've done some research on Jacob. He's a great kid who is considerate and respectful towards elders. Your dad and I are very happy. Why else would we agree to this? On hearing Helen's words, Jacob felt a smile come across his face. He was still feeling pretty awkward about the situation and was as uncomfortable as Sophie about their new life together. How's your grammar, Jacob? Helen asked Jacob suddenly. I'm pretty good at it, actually. Well, Sophie is pretty good at all subjects, but gets stuck at grammar. Come tutor Sophie for English grammar every day for the time being and get to know her better, Helen said. Don't we already know enough about him? Sophie pouted her lips and said quietly. Jacob wasn't sure about coming here every night. Besides, he never had experience as a tutor before. At the same time, Sophie can also teach you about cultivation. I think it'll be great for everyone that you guys help each other out, Helen said. Sophie and Jacob had no way out of this, and they both knew they had to do this regardless of how they were feeling. He thought about it and said, Fine, but you guys don't need to send the car to pick me up. I'll come on my own. Sure, it's not too far from your college. There's a bus stop near your campus to bring you here directly. Helen smiled when Jacob agreed to her plan. Jacob turned around and looked at Sophie. She looked a lot like her mother and probably had the same sweet smile. He kept looking at her and kept repeating the word fiancé in his mind. She might be unhappy now, but I sure can see the beauty on the inside, thought Jacob.
Now that Jacob has agreed to tutor Sophie in English grammar and learn about cultivation from her, what will their daily lessons bring? Will they be able to put aside their initial reservations and work together to achieve their goals, or will their differences tear them apart? And what exactly does the future hold for this unlikely couple?
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.